guys. I guess I wanted to start by saying, who wants to be stuck? Who wants to be mediocre?
No, I'm
Yeah,
not
no
sure I
one.
want to be mediocre.
Right. No one does. And so, what we're going to, because your time is valuable, I'm going to run through some slides. We're going to talk about communication. And I received takeaways from everyone who signed up to come, and I saw those. And so, what I'm going to ask you to do is know that you're in the right place if you do hard things without ever being hard on yourself. If you commit to intentional change that can happen anytime through communication. If you want to give yourself credit for being an amazing communicator now. And if you're willing to feel the feelings that come with doing anything that's worth doing. So those were the things that I was really hoping to impress upon you guys, that you're in the right place if that's what you would want. So do either of you have any gems you want to drop before I pull up some slides about communication?
I've been really paying attention recently to my filler words and what they mean to me and how they present to others.
Mm.
Um, and it's an interesting uh, project, I guess, for myself. Um, and then, I'm also really interested in sort of like the stories that we tell ourselves
Mm.
both in the inside and the outside of our lives, and how that impacts our communication, and how sometimes those aren't aligned. Um, the inside story and then the outside story,
Mm.
or the outside
Wow.
communication inside. And yeah, okay, those are mine.
Wow. And
I,
so go ahead, please, Gail, go ahead.
I think, especially in the field that I am with the communication, and I always feel like, how can you communicate enough? Or are
Mm.
the people um, hearing what you want to let them know? And so you have to be, sometimes I'm extremely hard on myself because I'm saying I must have done something wrong. Something happened.
Mm.
Or, and that's where I have to let go because I can't control what the person and where they want to go. And so I have to let go because we can never satisfy everybody.
Mm. Mhm. Wow. So do have either of you learned anything in doing what you're doing, letting go or studying the inside out stories?
One thing I've learned about with the letting go recently in my work is shifting the focus on having the people, the conversation, to them being the expert, and then that enables me to sort of let go of the outcome and trust the process of the conversation, instead of having a agenda on where I'm hoping it's going, which I find myself
Mm.
doing. I think because maybe as our profession, we tend to be really prescriptive around those things.
Mhm.
I think that's
Mhm.
helped me to sort of do the letting go, Gail, like you were talking about a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Well, since it's the three of us right now, is it okay if I do you guys? Chrissy is a nurse, and Gail, your title is.
I'm in sales. I'm in sales and senior living. And so,
Mm.
yeah, I understand exactly because you have to be what Chrissy was saying is that you have to be very cautious the way you present things because they just could take it the wrong way. And even for me, I mean, sometimes I just get blown away by their situation, what they live, and I take it very, not personally, but it touches my heart and I really want to help them, but you never have the right solutions to provide them.
Mm.
Mm-mm.
Well, I love those gems. I thank you guys for that. And I wanted to give three questions that maybe you can just think about as you go into the weekend. And one is you might have a version of yourself that seems like you're more accomplished in communication. Dare I use the word expert? With the takeaways that you gave, what would that version of you already be thinking about the takeaway you wanted? So let me phrase it like this. My expert communication self says blank about running after time. Or my expert communication self says blank about hierarchical communication. So maybe just simmer into those for the weekend. But the next question is, what is that version of yourself willing to feel? If that's just a little bit more advanced or more accomplished person than what you think you are, what would you be willing to feel? And then what do you want to keep communicating, even if you get no validation? You're not entitled to know any of the way that it helps people or doesn't help people. What would you want to keep communicating just because it makes you you? So those are some pretty heavy questions that I don't have in a PowerPoint. They kind of came to me at the last minute, so I can always email them to you, but just taking those with you. And hey, Vonda, just want to say hi. So I'm going to pull up some slides, and I don't want to be the one doing all the talking, but I did want something for your eyes to land on, and I did want to go through just a few points that are really related to communication that I think are important to us. So we often have an idea of what makes us an expert at communication. And one of the stories that I was thinking about this week is over communicated? Me too. And I used to make my over communication come from a graspy space, that I would keep communicating to get what I wanted. And I believe now that I over communicate when I'm thinking I'm behind, but I do that for myself so that I continue to lean in and I continue to challenge my nervous system to have the experience I want. And I wanted to tell a story that I was returning from vacation. And this is about a patient and a family that I was working with. And I had missed a family meeting and I felt behind. And so I just immediately started calling the decision maker for this patient. And she was very overwhelmed. No, that's the wrong word. That's what the team told me, that she was overwhelmed. And when I called her, she was crying. And she said, do I have to make this decision? Do we have to have this conversation? And I said, no. And I said, let's just talk another day. And then that person called another person who called me from their family. And they said, nope, we don't want to have this conversation today. So I mistook emotion a little bit for disconnection. But as we worked together for the next 5 days, what I found out was that their emotion meant they knew exactly what they needed to do. They just needed more time to do it and to talk to us about it. So hopefully this helps you think about things that you used to think was bad communication, bad, didn't go the way you wanted, but maybe it's really good communication now, and how that changes. So I'll tell you, in communication, I'm kind of a bad storyteller, but I'm going to pause there and see if this brings up more stories for you guys or something you could share, or what you think about over communicating.
Well, I think mainly it's over communicating. It's not listening to the people. That's the problem. So I try to step away and just listen to them. Um, but coming to the weekend, what I would like to be able to work on is not, because I'm constantly needing to, that's my job, making sure that, when there's leads coming in or people asking questions, I have to be available. And I would just want to be able to protect myself in that situation, because if I don't protect myself, then I'm going to get overwhelmed and exhausted and all that. So I think I just have to find a certain special environment where I'm saying, okay, I'm allowing myself not to work this day. That's it. But over communication really can be a killer.
Yeah. So it sounds like you have your answer there.
Yeah, I do. I just have to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's where emotion comes in because it's going to feel, we can have the discomfort we know of working, maybe communicating more like you do, or you can have the discomfort of trying something and seeing how it goes.
Hmm.
So, does anyone else have anything to add to that or something that you're thinking about what we've been talking about?
Gail, are you saying that that over communicating is you find is when people or you may slip into not listening and then your boundaries get crossed because of that, or
I'm
you
just, I think sometimes what happened is when I over communicate to a potential resident family member, um, I'm not listening exactly to what they're needing.
mm,
And so I could lose them by not wanting to push the sale as much, but going into what is exactly the need and sometimes letting go. I realized by what I do is sometimes I get the information, I give them all the tools, everything that they need, and then I'll just back away and give them a breather. And so, but when I over communicate, then that's where I invade that moment where they need to
mm,
reflect.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's just,
Mm-hmm.
that seems like a real
Yeah.
skill to know when to back off and when to lean in.
well, it's not easy.
Yeah, I bet.
Not easy.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm. I mean, I love hearing that because I think I have been in the past where you've been, Gail, where I was over communicating because I needed someone to do what I wanted them to do. And then I did take time to back off and allowed myself to go the opposite way. And that allowed me to grow and kind of get a sense of, okay, now I'm at a plateau. Now I'm going to need to start over communicating from a different place, from this person that I've
Mm,
become, and giving myself the discomfort of building a different belief.
Hmm.
Whereas,
Hmm.
or using I am behind to my advantage because my intention wasn't to get that family or that patient to a place. It was to build my nervous system and their nervous system to have a relationship to talk about something hard that was coming. But I had to have patience to work through what over communicated meant to me. So that's a really
And
great find.
and I think sometimes people are just not at the same um, level as we are, and so they don't hear it, and they're not ready
Mm-hmm.
to receive.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
would love to. I
Absolutely.
mean, yeah. So. It's just it's very amusing how everything can be presented.
Yeah. And communication is something that we do all the time. And that's why I like it because it creates fast change because we're always doing it
Hmm.
everywhere we are. So that's why I like it because you don't have to go seek it. It's just going to happen to you in the next minute. Probably somebody's going to buzz your phone or it's going to come in your email or you're going to talk to somebody. And that's why I really think that communication gives us easy reps for transformation if we're willing to feel feelings and try things. So that's what I'm hoping you guys will commit to this weekend. So you might have been hearing that I communicate with folks that are transforming their life and having some ways of thinking or beliefs about themselves die so that new ones can be born. I also work with patients and families who might actually be dying, receiving critical care, or having their lifestyle altered. And so I'm always talking about things that are hard for people. And sometimes it's really easy and fun and rewarding for people. And that's what I'm always hoping for. But this is what I was hoping to bring up with you guys is that your communication is a genre. It could be a music genre. I kind of started thinking about it this way this week. Everyone has a style. And these may not be like representative of your style of music, but what I found is that I'm always using a different style. But I'd like to invite that that style comes from what I'm feeling and not in relation to what they're showing me. We're always planning this ahead of time so that we know the experience we want to have so that we can stay really clean and clear in our communication with people. So I'm going to see if you guys have anything you want to add to this.
I think that for what I've been playing with and trying to do is, there's there's always sort of like this intentional goal, and it's and kind of like to what Gail was saying, I've been trying to um pull back on the end goal. I think it's a little different maybe because Gail, you're in sales, so there is a fairly clear goal. I think. I don't know. I've never been in sales. But
Just
um,
bringing people in.
yeah.
I'm a preacher. I preach to my
Nice.
Well, I
community.
do want to beg to differ because we're always selling healthcare. Like in your nursing role, we're always selling someone's belief in what's possible for them with their health. Like, I do think we do sell things. Anyway, go on.
I I think so, but I've been trying to like let a little bit let go of that end and see what that end actually looks like, maybe, or that wherever we go looks like for somebody else, because it could
Mm.
be something very different.
Are you
It,
talking
it
about
could
end of life?
I don't know. I'm kind of talking about anything really. Like
Okay.
if somebody
Mm.
wants to improve their eating, or if somebody wants to like, talk about their relationship with their self, or their
Okay.
body, or whatever. I think like I think that like the what am I trying to get to? I'm trying to say that I've been playing with kind of listening to what their genre is and try matching
Mm.
it a little bit so that there's more some like trust, and then kind of like trying to understand their perspective through their choice in music, like listening to
Mm.
what music they like, I guess is what I'm trying to
Mm-hmm.
say. Instead of
Mm.
coming in with jazz and they're playing pop, I'm like, I like all of it. So let's just
Ah.
sit in and see what the concert's coming for me first, I guess. But
Oh,
yeah.
that's brilliant. Yeah, that's brilliant. I love that. So you're coming in with jazz, they have pop, and you're like, I like pop.
Oh,
Yeah,
pop.
I
Yeah.
like pop. I love that.
Yeah. That sort of thing.
Well, I put up some research just because people seem to like facts. While you're looking that over, I've got some facts that I can mention. Good communication doesn't always feel good. We often think we will arrive at expert status when it feels good, but I hate to be hyperbolic, but we must be willing to have emotion and witness other people having emotion. And emotional burnout doesn't come from doing the emotional communication. It comes when we layer on judgment of how we did on top of our emotional work. So those are some facts that I wanted to share. And the last thing I'll say in the research phase is that research shows it takes more reps, more practice to talk about good news or to feel good and to stay in the wins than it does to talk about the hard things or the things that we're worried about. So at any point you can stop me and just chime in because hearing myself talk isn't the most important thing. I thought that we could do this fun quiz and I will just give us like 10 seconds with each slide. And there's actually no like outcome of the quiz, but to provide thought. Communication is the problem and the solution in my mind all the time. And I love that for me because it doesn't matter where I get to, I'm always going to have something happening that I didn't expect and a solution in the palm of my hand with communication. So I found when I took the quiz that I'm A, B, C, and D in all of them all the time. So I'll just flip through the 5 slides and then we'll discuss a little bit, knowing that our time is valuable. Mhm. Last question or last thoughts here. All right. Well, what's come up for you through this, Christy or Fonda, Gail? Anything you guys want to add or something that brought up?
It looks like people are muted.
Yeah.
Interrupt me if you unmute Gail or Londa. Kind of what brought up for me is that I'm never like one of the answers. And that it also, the one before this one about the person in the meeting is crying.
Mhm.
Sometimes I feel like, I think I feel like this a lot in meetings recently. Like I feel like I want to react or communicate, but feel like it's not my place.
Mm.
So if someone was crying in a meeting and it's not my meeting, um, or I feel like the person that should be taking control over the communication is not me. I might be like overstepping. Um, I might do something different than I would do if I were in the position of communicating. I don't know, of being able to communicate.
Mm. Mm. Yeah. I mean, I think I know what you're saying. What if it was your meeting? What would you do?
I think if it was my meeting, like not my meet, I guess if I
Yeah.
were, yeah, if it was my meeting, I think I would, sort of invite the room to sort of like, you don't want to like, you don't want to dismiss somebody who's crying in a meeting, but you also don't want to point attention onto them. I would, ask them, are they comfortable here? Do they want to talk somewhere else? Is there something that they want to share?
Mm.
Like kind of let them drive that. Um, if it wasn't mine, I would think the people that are supposed to be the communicators in their room should be doing that or doing something. And I feel like I'm overstepping if I am the like like just a member and take that
Mm.
role on.
Mm. Yeah.
Make sense?
Yeah. And my ask would be, what if you're all in the same human emotion or emotional moment there, and what if that is your place actually? To just say, hey, we could slow this down for a minute.
Yeah. I mean, I think I can do that.
Mm.
I think it comes back to what I was talking about, like asking about at the beginning, like this hierarchical thing is so like a little bit newer to me, and so I'm a little bit confused
Mm.
where to where to be. Um, I think I think it's like disingenuous if I would am I not saying something, but I'm also kind of trying to learn a new area's way to interact.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like I kind of came in playing rap and I'm in a place that does not play rap. So I'm like, am I am I am I partnering or am I bulldozing? You know what I mean? Like I'm trying to figure
Mm.
that out.
Oh, interesting. Well, I'll just challenge you. What if you won't know until you try the thing that you think is bulldozing to get
Mhm.
data? So that's what I was hoping to just give you the courage to do today.
Okay, done. We'll do it.
Great. Perfect. Love
So
that.
So what I would do if I was in that meeting and somebody cries, because it happens that they cry
Mm.
in my meetings, I always have a tissue box because I think they should have be feel they when they're in with me, they're sharing a lot of emotions, a lot of frustration, trying to figure out what's going on with their family members. So I always
Oh.
offer them a tissue and then try to have them express those emotions. Because if they can express them, then I can at least be helping in a certain way. So
Mm.
I do go in I want them to feel comfortable enough with me to be able to cry. It happens I cry also with
Mm.
them because it's just too much. But it's just and then I try always to it's not try, I think it just comes naturally. I because I mean I had my grandparents. We all have our stories. We all we all had some sort of difficult time, but making them understand that they're not alone.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They feel this first time emotion, but others have gone through the same process as them, and it's okay, it's normal.
Mm.
And so that's what I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. Absolutely. I work with a lot of physicians and this exact scenario about crying. And the one thing I always ask from them is, before, when a patient or family starts crying, before they push the tissue box over, that they give at least 15 seconds so someone can cry without feeling like they have to stop.
Mm.
So that's how I always challenge them
Well,
at
having
the
the tissue
beginning.
box is not giving them a tissue, is not telling them stop. It's just,
Absolutely no.
it's
You're right.
yeah. It's just,
But
empathy. Empathy. I feel you. I understand what you're going through. I'm so sorry. I'm with you.
mhm, absolutely. Absolutely. Well,
Mm.
we did go through this quiz, Gail, but I can always send this to you. And there was no actual like, hey, if you score this way, you get this, you are this or have that. So I'll send that quiz to you over
I
email.
would love that. Hmm.
And that way we can be mindful of our time. And I wanted to go through just 3 shifts that I was hoping that we could take away today. And I think what all of you have been saying is that communication is about naming emotion or saying what's on your mind. Like, I'm scared. I'm not sure what's going to happen. I have no idea how to proceed. And I work with really intelligent, well trained people, and none of this work is taught to us. So we're all learning as we go, especially me. I mean, I could say almost every day, I'm scared. I have no idea how to proceed. Hey, Steph.
Hi, sorry I popped in late. Was
No,
on
that's
another call.
okay. Totally. Thanks for joining.
Yeah.
Got anything to say about this?
I'm just trying to kind of gauge where you guys are at right now. So,
Well, we were just talking about things that are a shift to take away from today. And one is the biggest communication breakdowns happen in what's unsaid. So I invite all of us to say the things that we think we shouldn't say or what would be hard to say, because that opens up a door for the people we're communicating with to say those things as well.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to go back. How will you take this forward, like in the next 7 days? Any of you have a thought about that?
I think that going forward, I think I need to do that, but in retrospect, I don't know how to like there's some things I should have said, and I think that there's a follow-up email I'm supposed to send, and I'd like to say it in that. So I think I can, and then just work on next time being able to recognize it in the moment a little bit better.
Thank you. So it sounds like you're going to follow up. We had kind of talked about this. Christy, you had touched on this, um, that you've been working on how you experience moments, communication moments. And I'm always asking people to remember that what we're thinking creates our feelings and creates that interaction. And we don't have to wait to see how the conversation or the communication goes to decide how to feel. I want people to be deciding that ahead of time. And that doesn't mean it's going to go that way, but it helps us ground into the version we want to be of ourselves as a communicator. So if I think that I'm jazzed, but I need to be brave, or maybe it is a little bit of rap that I think about ahead of time, or preparing myself for how I want to experience this. Sometimes we're bad news sharers all the time. And if we're always taking on the energy of this is just going to feel bad, usually we have to share bad news because when people get to us, they don't know what they want. They're changing something. Something hasn't gone how they wanted. They would never ask for this. So just preparing ourselves ahead of time. And then
Yeah.
tip number 3. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I know I missed part of all of your earlier discussion because I was on a call, but just playing off of what you were just saying,
Yeah, please.
the emotional context that you bring to the situation, framing kind of how that interaction is going or going to go, um, pausing for a minute before that interaction occurs and really thinking about where do I want this other person to be at the end of this interaction, from my message. Like, what message do I want to convey? And I want them to take away from this, and setting aside sort of like not setting aside your emotion, acknowledging it, but kind of setting it over here for a minute while you decide where you're going to take this journey and what emotions you want to take away in the end, because it will also shape how your emotions evolve through that interaction. I'm not sure if that makes sense.
And do you find that,
I could give you an example if it would be more clear.
well, I feel like my struggle is always pausing. How do you approach
What did you
that?
say?
My problem's always pausing.
Pausing. Yeah. Like I had a difficult situation recently. I had a complication. And so I knew the client was going to be worried, anxious, upset, or whatever. And so and I was anxious and nervous and concerned about my practice and my license and all those things. So there's a lot of emotions on both sides from different places. But I think if you just go into it with the emotion without pausing, it can spiral out of your hands, and you can end up in a place you don't want to be, because I think that other person's emotions, their upsetness or whatever that emotion is, can take hold of the situation. You really have to be in the driver's seat, to take that interaction where you want to go. You have to be the voice of reason and the sort of the positive light, if you want to get them to a better place. I don't know. It's hard to pause. I recognize that, especially if you're in a very critical situation, or an emergency situation where you have to act quickly. But I do, like Christy was saying, you sometimes do have to come back and follow up, right, with either an email or a conversation or something to reiterate either what you were thinking in the moment or how you want to leave that situation, one for yourself, but also for that other person and how they saw that whole situation go down.
Yeah, that's
I'm gonna
really
have to leave
helpful.
you. I'm so sorry.
Bye. Thanks, Gail.
Bye.
Nice to see you. Have
Bye-bye.
a great
Thank you.
weekend.
You too. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Steph. I
Sure.
think
I'm not sure if
you
that's
speak
helpful at all.
I wonder what it looks like when, like, let's just pretend, like, what does it look like if you go into a situation like that without driving, like with and 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 is that like a possibility to like go into a hard situation and to like fully be present for like them being on in the driver's seat, or does that, I don't know, is that a possibility?
Well, where mine goes with that is something that has happened to me this week. Even I knew I had to have a hard conversation with my husband, and I thought I was going to be a driver, and we ended up having a spur of the moment conversation, and I didn't do things the way that I wanted to, and it didn't go the way I imagined I wanted it to go. But in the end, I found out that my intention was always it was always coming from absolute acceptance of whatever he said or reacted, however it went, because my message wouldn't change and I wasn't the one making him angry. That's how I've stopped trying to be a driver, because I could have thought, oh, that sucked. It was terrible. It didn't go well. Made him really, like, we did not connect at all. But when I was looking back on it, I think that was the best one we could have had. I think that was the only way I could actually grow in communication, was knowing that I would never say it. Like, I never did that on purpose. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
That's the only way that
Yeah.
I've let go
Yeah.
of trying to drive, is because I know I'm never going to do it intentionally wrong, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready for anything that comes.
Yeah.
Because
Based
it
on what
wasn't
you were
like
just saying,
go ahead.
sorry, go. No,
No, you go.
I was just going to say, I think there are times where you have to be the driver, and there are times where you have to be present. And I think each situation sort of lends itself to tell you, you just have to sort of, for lack of a better phrase, read the room, like kind of, what is this person, what is this, what does this person need in the moment? Do they need me to be in charge and lead them to a better
Mhm.
place? Or do
Mm.
they need to be heard?
Yeah.
Or do they need to learn something from me? Or what is it that this situation could benefit from? Or do I just need to be quiet and hear what's going on? And
Mhm.
that's really hard to do. I think that just comes from exposure and experience and, thinking about these things more thoughtfully.
Mm.
Either retrospectively or even in the moment, if you're sitting there listening to the interactions.
Mm.
You know
Well,
what comes up
Christy,
for me with that is like when you say the driver, it before I was thinking more of like you had like you were taking like the person was in the back seat and you're going this way. And when you explained it like that, I thought of like both of you going down the road.
Together.
You have the wheel, but you're both like
Yeah, it's more
in the
guidance. Yeah,
it's more guidance. Yeah,
yeah,
that it
yeah,
made me feel
yeah.
yeah,
It's more
yeah.
guidance.
Uh-huh.
And I just to give you an example, because maybe this is more clear, but like that patient interaction that I was just referring to, I knew she was going to be upset, but I had to come across with confidence and reassurance and to guide her to the place where this was all going to be okay, even though I didn't know it was going to be okay. Because if I give her too much of the I don't know, then she's going to lack confidence in my skill. She's going to be more worried and upset about things that maybe she doesn't need to be upset about. And by giving her some of my confidence that this was going to be okay,
Mm.
she was able to then rest assure a little bit and engage more in our conversation and actually be present and listen to the instructions and the information that was important rather than having anxiety and worry and being in a different place in her brain. So it was real kind of helping her along the path. You're right. I think it's more guidance than driving, but you're sort of directing where it's going, but you're helping them with that.
Mm.
It also seems like you're identifying the 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 roles you're taking on what you can control, which is the outcome, right? You're the person that
Mm.
is sort of, I guess, in that particular way responsible for the outcome, and then letting her be in control of what she can do for her
Mhm.
own outcome instead
Yep.
of her trying to take care of yours,
Mm.
Yep.
right?
Yep.
You're like almost
Mm.
taking responsibility off of her in that way.
Yep.
I think that's
Yep.
really cool.
Yeah.
That is really, really cool. That's well said on both your parts. So, Stephanie, is that a big win for you? Something that you do all the time, or was that like
I
something
think
that
that's
you were like,
honestly something I've been learning in this new field that I'm in because people come to you. I'm in aesthetic medicine now. Andrea knows, but I used to be in the ICU. And people come to you and ask you for your expertise, which is a new sort of thing for me because I was in a more reactive sort of place before. And now I can be at the forefront of the change. And when you exude confidence and reassurance, even if you don't know, if you still lead with that, then they will follow you. But if you come across too much with, I don't know, then they might lose confidence in you and start looking for someone else to help solve their problem. But I, as a business owner and a provider and somebody doing this type of work, want to gain that, trust of that person. And what I can do is guarantee them of the things that I do know. So I am a little bit transparent about the things I don't know, which I do think is important, but about the things I do know and what I can be confident about and what I lean more into that to build the trust with them. And then you can be more open with here's what I don't know. And I think if you're transparent about that, that adds another layer of trust. But I usually lead with the confident part of it first.
Yeah. So that brings up two questions. How does that work for hierarchical communication? And for me, I'm always trying to use that in my personal life as well. So I don't know if you guys have thoughts about that.
Oh, what? Sorry. Like,
Hierarchy. You mean like someone above me?
Right. Can you bring that same confidence and then I don't know to that conversation? Just
Yeah,
because
I think
it sounds
so.
like
Yeah.
it sounds like a great way to do it.
Yeah, I think so. And thinking about now you asking the question, I think there have been definitely situations where I have deployed that method before. Like either doing a procedure in surgery or I don't know why that comes to mind, but like, here's what I do know. I can see this, I can see that, I'm confident of these things. Here's what I don't know.
Yeah. That's good.
I think
I'm
that's
going to borrow that.
yeah, that's just being open and transparent. That's just like giving them the map to what's in your brain, but leading with what you are confident and know first. And then it allows them, I think, to fill in the gaps of what's missing. But I think that's kind of how my brain kind of works analytically anyway.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm going to borrow that for my personal communication.
Yeah.
Here's what I do know.
Yeah. Here's what I do know. Here's what I need help with, or here's what I don't know, or here's what I'm worried about, or
yeah. What I found with data, and then I know we need to get out of here, but the three things I found people usually want to know, it doesn't matter who they are, is can I get what I want? How will that feel? And what if I fail? Those seem to be the three things. It doesn't matter who I'm talking to that I've landed on. So that's one way to think about one, how we're going to communicate. Can I get what I want? How will that feel? What if I fail? And the people we're communicating with are thinking the same thing.
Yes.
Can I get what I want? How will that feel? What if I fail? Just kind of blows my mind a little. Well, this is what changed everything for me. And I stopped thinking it should have gone better. Just went how it went and really drop the self-judgment. That doesn't mean I don't evaluate. It means self-judgment is never ending and cyclical, but evaluation gives us data. And I committed to always failing and growing. And if I'm not seeing people have emotion or I'm not feeling emotion, then I'm probably not communicating what I actually am capable of communicating. I ask before I share sometimes. And well, I was brought up as a bright sider, like, oh, this could be better. Like, oh, at least this isn't happening. Like, that's how my parents always like taught me as big people in my lives when I was little. They always taught me how to like show the bright side. And I really try hard not to do that to people ever now because I don't think it's useful. And I started witnessing people's emotions instead of reacting to it. And you guys, I'm sure, do all of these things. So I was going to have us do a breakout prompt, but you guys have already demonstrated this. Think of a combo you replayed in your head. Rewrite it, though, from the lens of this went really good. What do I think about it from this went really good? Where do I go from there? Instead of thinking that could have been better. It is what it is. We can't undo it. There's no value in thinking that it was bad because we are never entitled to know what people took from it, what they should have taken from it, how they feel about it. It's just never our information to have. So hopefully this shifted something in you. You don't need more data, information. Just go commit to communicating because it's going to happen in 1 second after you hop off this video. And it's a great way to challenge your nervous system to do amazing things. I mean, I know both of you, and there's a couple ways to get in touch with me, and you both know that. Thank you. Thanks for being here and sharing your greatness. But please, what can we talk about for the last couple minutes?
You recorded everything, right, on this meeting? Yeah. So yeah. I'd love to retrospectively listen to like what happened before I joined.
I'll send it out too.
Yeah.
I'll send it out. Thanks for coming. Thanks for your insight.
Yeah.
You're doing some exciting things.
Yeah, thanks. Christy, where do you work?
I work at UW.
In
I
what
work in
department?
the neuro ICU.
Okay. Are you a nurse practitioner?
I'm a nurse.
Nurse. Okay. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, have a great weekend. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, Stephanie.
Well, right now I left the ICU. I'm a nurse practitioner. I was working surgical ICU. That's how I know Andrea. And I started my own aesthetic business in the past year. Yeah. So I left the ICU in February. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's great.
Well, to give you both a nod, Christy is an amazing artist and musician, and Stephanie is an amazing artist as well.
Cool.
You guys are both so creative and wonderful. And I mean, that's so cool for you guys. Yeah, you're welcome.
You're too kind.
Well, you guys are too amazing. Well, thanks for coming to talk about this stuff. And
thank you
for having us.
It's
great.
Oh my God, amazing. You guys are so great. Thank you.
Have a great rest of your day.
Have a great weekend. Okay.
Have a good weekend.
Bye.